What is up, fellas? We are coming at you today with a post-free agency look at the 2024 redraft landscape, but we're going to be hopping into an Underdog Fantasy big board draft. Those are going fast and furious right now. This is, real-time updates. We're going to get to see where Saquon Barkley is going in drafts, where Josh Jacobs is going in drafts, where the Falcons pass catchers and Bijan are going to go in drafts with all the free agency news. We did have some signings overnight. Aaron Jones to the Vikings, Joe Mixon to the Texans was actually a trade. Jameis Winston got signed by the Browns randomly just a couple minutes ago. We got developing news that the Fields to Raiders thing might still happen. I don't know. We're all over the place, but we do have Spicy Hot in our backseat here. We are going to be drafting a big board team, like I said. If you guys want to join into the draft with us whenever we join the draft, of course, you can go ahead and do that. And if you are new to Underdog Fantasy, I've dropped the link in the live chat there to join over on Underdog. Use the promo code FSE when you sign up for 100% back up to $100. We're really going to be kicking up the Underdog Best Ball drafts, Best Ball Mania 5. I'm sure will be dropping shortly after the NFL draft in May as well. Going to be a lot of fun. So, Spicy, do you want to hit the join button here as people file in? Danny, what's going on here? How do you feel about your Cowboys inactivity? I've seen your fan base melting down today.
Expected, to be honest. Like, people are really like fretting, but at the end of the day, it's like, did you really expect the Cowboys to go out there and just sign a bunch of free agents on day one? Like, their free agency opens in 6 days. That's when they'll do all their moves. I mean, hey, they made one move today. They re-signed their long snapper. That is crucial.
Yeah, the Bucs are the same way, man. We don't like participating in the first wave of free agency. I think Jason Lights learned his lesson after debacle from 2014 to 2018 of spending big on terrible free agents. So I'm hoping that safety market thins out a little bit. We get Jordan Whitehead on a cheap deal. Maybe we sign. We re-signed Chase Edmonds. I don't know what the fuck they're doing with that. I have no idea why they re-signed Chase Edmonds. That guy is so washed. The Carlton Davis trade, I felt really, really good about. Get his number off the books. He was on a big contract. You got a third rounder for him, and he's only got 1 year left on his deal, which I thought was insane. They had to give up like 2/6, I think, to get it done, to get to a third. But like, this is the track record of Todd Bowles and defensive backs. Antoine Winfield, Jordan Whitehead, Carlton Davis, Jamel Dean, Christian Izzy, an undrafted free agent, Zion McCollum, who was a raw guy coming out of school. He had a good year last year. And by the way, too, like when Bowles got there, Carlton was a bust. Jamel Dean was terrible. Jordan Whitehead wasn't really anything other than a hitter. So I feel very good about his ability to develop defensive backs. So getting a third rounder, he's probably just going to replace Carlton. Whoever they draft in round 3 is probably going to be a starting corner by like week 7 of his rookie season. So anyways, we're on the board here. We do see McCaffrey and Lamb go off the board. What are you thinking here? I think Tyreek and Chase would probably be my top 2.
Yeah, so I mean, we got to address this. So I think Tyreek would be my number 1 here. We got to address, obviously, Justin Jefferson, his ADP there at 4.5. I think at minimum, you probably have to put Jamar Chase over him, given the fact that we can expect either Sam Darnold or JJ McCarthy / Drake May to be the quarterback, which is going to be a downgrade in year 1 to what Kirk Cousins represented. So yeah, Tyreek Hill is going to be the pick here, I would say. At this point, when you're ranking Justin Jefferson, how are you kind of ranking him amongst him, Amon-Ra, Bijan, and Breece Hall? Because that's about the tier I think he would be in.
Yeah, this is really difficult because, I mean, at face value, this is bad news for Justin Jefferson. Yes. It's like you don't have Kirk Cousins anymore. I still think they're going to be a relatively pass-heavy offense. I mean, the back that they just signed and the one that they had already in Ty Chandler and Aaron Jones, they're not really like in between the tackles grinders. They should still be an up-tempo, pass-heavy offense. I saw Smola tweeted out that Justin Jefferson was 2.94 yards per route run in games with Jaron Hall and Nick Mullins last year, 2.75 in games with Kirk Cousins. So, I mean, Justin Jefferson is QB proof. He's obviously a very good wide receiver, the best in the league, in my opinion. So he's still going to be a guy that I think I'm willing to take with a top 5 pick. I think you just have to lean with a guy like Tyreek Hill with Jamar Chase potentially. Great. Chase is still a conversation, I think, just because of, the injury history that we've seen from Chase and like the lack. If Higgins is back, that would factor in as well with Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase there. But I'm not going to overthink it too much. I still think Jefferson's worthy of a top 5 pick.
No, that's fair. I mean, like I would say he's more so at the tail end of the top five now, and I do think, like I said, it's in the discussion where structurally, if you want to go with the wide receiver, you take a guy like Justin Jefferson because I'm not going to reach down for Puka, I'm not going to reach down for names later on there. But if you want to build structurally at running back, man, like I honestly don't hate taking Brees or Bijan, especially with the upgrades that the Falcons made to their offense, and with Brees Hall expected to get Aaron Rodgers back the finish that he had last year. So I just think more so he's in that tier rather than with Kirk Cousins, he would more so be in the CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill area for me.
Yeah. The running backs versus Jefferson will be an interesting conversation for sure. Because I mean, structurally, depending on and we're going to do a shit ton of these drafts throughout the summer. So you're going to know kind of like what you like building out. Do you like fading Jefferson early to get an anchor running back like Brees Hall, Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs? We don't really know where Jefferson's ADP will settle in, but I think you're spot on there. It's going to be a Sam Darnold, JJ McCarthy, maybe Drake May, but probably JJ McCarthy combination there. That's fine again for Justin Jefferson, but it's worse than Kirk Cousins. Like I don't think that's deniable there. So that'll be interesting. Nico Collins at the 2-1 is pretty high for me. I think that's a little high
this
for
point.
Me.
At this point in free agency, without the NFL draft happening, I can't do that. However, after the NFL draft, if they don't add a wide receiver in the first round, I'm more willing to take them in the tail end of the second round. But like you mentioned, even if we're assuming that Nico Collins and Tank Dell are the only two real needle movers at wide receiver in Houston, 2-1 over some of those names like Kyron Williams, like Jonathan Taylor, like I just can't do that at this point. I mean, Saquon Barkley's still on the board too, which I probably shouldn't have said.
Yeah, I think when I look at Nico Collins versus Tank Dell, I think I'm just going to probably lean with whoever is cheaper as the guy that I go with exposure-wise, because I really do see them as pretty equivalent. Like in best ball, I suppose Nico has a little bit more draw because he's more of like the downfield threat, but we saw a ton of big plays out of Tank Dell his rookie season too. So those two guys are going to be interesting with how they kind of interact with each other. I think CJ Stroud would tell you that Tank Dell is his favorite, which leans me towards actually Tank Dell. At face value, especially considering that he is cheaper at this point in time.
For sure. Now we are going to be on the clock in 3 picks. So Spicy, can you show the overall board just for a second? Like the grid. Perfect. So you guys can see right here, the teams in front of us both also went wide receivers. So that was the risk. I was hoping Saquon fell back to us, to be honest.
Do we consider Jacobs at all?
I don't hate it here. I think he might fall back to us though.
Yeah. Oh, he's like buried in ADP,
yeah, he's
man.
Buried.
I didn't think he would be going that low. I think he should fall back to us in round 3. I don't think we should push him further than that, but in round 3, he might, like, I think that's maybe his ADP at that low is not going to last. That's going to change for sure. What's available at wide
receiver? Yeah. So
I mean we did just draft Hill too. We could take Achane here.
Could go Achane. I would say my biggest votes here would probably be Achane or like Olave Evans, but I'll let you make the pick between those 3.
Let's go with the Dolphins. Let's roll with Achane here. And correlate this thing out. Probably takes us out of the Jacobs market in round 3. Maybe we could see if we could push him back to 4 potentially. I like the idea of getting one of like Evans or Tank Dell or Olave or Pittman with this next pick. So I think that's structurally I like that a little bit more.
No, I like that.
I guess Waddle would have been in conversation there as well for us because we have the 2 Dolphins. But I think this is a tough tier to dissect, man. Oh yeah. I kind of hope one of Tank Dell or Evans goes here because I think that would be the 2 guys I'd be deciding between.
Yeah.
Metcalf, what are we doing?
I mean, it's tricky. Obviously, the pro there for Tank Dell, younger wide receiver, attached to CJ Stroud, the upside that we saw and the splits that he had. I mean, the upside for Evans, though, I mean, we saw him legitimately be a top 10
touchdown scoring. I think in a half PPR, I would lean Mike.
Yeah, I think I would. Obviously, it's a little bit riskier because of course, he's an older wide receiver, but I mean, I don't know. I still think I
feel hard pressed to say that Mike Evans is a risky pick in any form or fashion, just given his career consistency, especially over the last 5 years being a touchdown scorer for Brady and Mayfield. Like the guy's legit scored double-digit touchdowns like 4 of the last 5 years.
We almost got Saquon Barkley at the 210, bro.
Yeah, that would have been insane, man. I'm actually really, really surprised he's going that low. I'm going to look over some comments here. George wants Chris Ballard to wake up. Your GM is just like ours. He's not going to spend big on day 1 of free agency. He locked up his own guy, which is exactly what Jason Light and the Bucs have been doing with Baker and with Mike Evans. Jameis to the Browns. That QB film room must be locked in, dude. The Browns would be low key kind of a funny Hard Knocks team. I'm
Oh,
not gonna lie, they'd be a really good Hard Knocks team this year.
Bush, you know what name we forgot in consideration for the third rounder is Drake London.
Yeah, Drake London is definitely gonna be. I think I would prefer Mike Evans still, but I think Drake London's the upside play for sure.
For sure. Seeing ghosts. Good day for a Drake London owner speaking. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we just updated our dynasty rankings, and we both, I believe, had him inside of our top 10s, right? He's your wide receiver 10?
Yeah, dude. Drake London
My wide receiver
bags
9.
have been full for a long time
Oh, yeah.
in this household, man. I have so much Drake London in Dynasty. I'm in like 10 Dynasty leagues. I think I have him in half of my Dynasty leagues, legitimately.
Yeah. No, he obviously is a big winner of the cycle. What are we offering to try and buy low on Jefferson? I mean, you're not really ever going to be able to buy low on Jefferson unless he's injured. Like, I would say there may be pessimism and somebody may be
I think there's
going
to be people that are willing to sell him, to be honest.
Maybe willing to sell him, but like they're not going at like, oh, low on him, maybe getting him as a wide receiver 3 price tag, like wide receiver 3 overall in Dynasty. Like, you're still paying first round
I think that's
prices.
probably the price tag you're looking at. I mean, so just in case you guys were curious, we did make updates to our Dynasty trade value chart on Flock Fantasy. So if you guys are interested in that and you are wanting to buy low on some of these players, we have them up to date as of the Darnell Mooney signing. I believe I haven't updated yet, but Aaron Jones signing and all the signings before that. So Mixon and Mooney are the two that have signed recently that I haven't updated. But we'll be doing updates throughout the day and tomorrow and stuff too. So if you guys are curious, how do we value Saquon Barkley now? How do we value Josh Jacobs now? How do we value Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and all those guys now? That is up to date there. But speaking on Jefferson, I mean, for me in a 1 quarterback league or a super flex league, like I'm still okay giving up the 1-1 for Justin Jefferson. If you guys, are strong at wide receiver or strong at quarterback and you want a wide receiver. I mean, if you're selling future rookie picks, like not, let's say 1 pick this year and a couple picks next year or whatever, I'm still okay giving up, say, the 109 this year, my first in 2025 and my first in 2026, but you might not even have to give up that much. You might only get him for, because he's a little bit depressed right now, 109, a first in 2025 and the 204 this year or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get Justin Jefferson for anything less than 3 firsts of equivalent value, obviously you are smashing it at this point. Because, like, again, I haven't seen those type of discounts in a lot of leagues that I'm in, but typically, like, I'm obviously going to be in more sharper leagues, whether it's content with you guys or leagues with you guys, whether that's leagues with analysts. Like, the leagues that I'm in are typically sharper, but I mean, sometimes in more casual leagues, people are going to have that emotional factor tied down to their valuation. So you can always, farm it out, kind of see, okay, well, you're the Jefferson owner. What are your thoughts on him losing Kirk Cousins? Is he attainable on this current market? And is there anything that I have that I can structure in terms of a deal?
Pretty much. Jordan Addison of the two receivers is definitely the one I'm more likely to buy, just given I think he has, like, obviously he hasn't proven as much as Jefferson, so people are going to be way lower on him, I think. But I think the Vikings are going to be quite aggressive for a quarterback. So if whatever quarterback they go after, Drake May, JJ McCarthy, whatever, is the guy that, the Vikings think he can turn into, and having Sam Darnold there, I mean, he's a decent stopgap. You can play him for a couple of games. Well, especially if it's McCarthy and May too. I mean, both of those guys kind of need some time to sit and marinate potentially. Like, I actually really like the idea of those pairings there. So, any of these running backs intrigue you? I think Rachaad White at that ADP is pretty insane to me. I think he should be, and we already have Evans too. So, I mean, he just went crazy. Pacheco too. I think Pacheco's a good value.
Jacobs is still available.
Oh, that's insane. Yeah, we got to grab Jacobs.
Yeah, that's free money.
Okay, so quick plug to Underdog. This is why you draft right now, because you can get some, like, this will not, like, Jacobs going at 46, I guarantee you will not last. And if he does go this low in actual redraft leagues, I will literally have so much exposure to Josh Jacobs because he is still a great running back. He's now running behind a better offensive line than he was running behind in Las Vegas. He's playing with a better quarterback than he was playing in Las Vegas, with more talented pass-catching weapons around him in totality, not necessarily just 1-for-1 on Devontae Adams. So, yeah, Jacobs, man, I think he should be a mid to late second-round pick come redraft time.
Can I convince you on Jaden Reed here and then backdoor the Jordan Love Packers stack with the Miami stack?
Yeah, I don't hate the idea of going hyper fragile with Pacheco either.
Fair.
I think Pacheco is like a pretty good value here, man.
I do, and I guess if you're going hyper fragile, you take him, and then you only make this a 4 running back build. I kind
of want to do that, to be honest. I really, I'm not that sold on Jaden Reed being the guy that you need out of the Green Bay Packers wide receivers. If we want to stack up Jacobs with Watson or with Dobbs or with Wicks or with the tight ends, like we have so many options that you can, like the Packers stacks are going to be very popular, I think, in best ball, because right now it's very difficult to figure out who you want in like a traditional redraft league where you would be starting, the player on any given week. But in best ball, I mean, they're going to be really pushed up the board to the point that all of them are guys that I want to get shares of.
For sure. No, I think that makes sense. And I'm kind of the belief too that at cost, I prefer Jaden Reed straight up, but at cost, if I can get Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, Dontavian Wicks, they're probably, I mean, check their ADP right now, Spicy. They're probably within the 12th, 13th plus round, right? Maybe Watson a little bit higher because the big play nature,
like
but
7th rounder, maybe.
Yeah. So I could see Watson being higher, but more so Doubs. That's an 8th round pick. Wicks honestly, I like Wicks at 134.4 is the biggest value of the bunch.
Kraft is absurdly low in ADP. That's crazy how low he is. I'm gonna have way too much exposure to him if that's his ADP.
For sure. And I mean, hear me out. I know he's gross and he probably won't be on Green Bay, but I just saw AJ Dillon being picked in the 200s. Like, he will have a role on a team. So getting him in the 200s right now, like, I understand he's not a flashy running back. He's not a very good running back, but that doesn't really matter. Like, we've seen like Zach Moss last year, who everybody discarded as being a good running back, end up having success when Jonathan Taylor missed time. So if AJ Dillon lands in the right spot at 218 ADP, I actually kind of like that.
Christian Kirk at the 5.9 is going to be an auto pick for me if he's available at that point in time, because I'm becoming more pessimistic that the Jags are going to draft a first-round receiver. Maybe they take a Jalen Polk on day 2 or something, and in that case, Christian Kirk is going to feast, man. He's going to have 140 targets next year, because I don't think Ridley's coming back. Maybe he will still, but I can't imagine the Jags are going to allocate that much of their salary cap to the wide receiver position when they're already paying Christian Kirk 18 per, and they just gave Gabe Davis 13 per. Yeah, and they're paying Ingram already too.
I honestly, I mentioned it to you a couple days ago, like as free agency was opening, and people were asking, "Oh, where do you think Calvin Ridley goes? Like, is he going to go back to the Jags?" Like, I'm still firm. I think he's going to end up being a New England Patriot. Like,
Patriots makes sense as a landing spot for him. They need. I think they're coming to terms with the fact that they're probably drafting a quarterback at 3. Maybe they're probably cool with whoever gets to them. But yeah, Ridley to the Patriots makes a lot of sense, I think.
Oh yeah. So we're back on the clock almost 8 picks away there. Can we kind of see what's kind of looking at the context of that 6th rounder? Just available.
Cats took over, says Dynasty mock after. We'll actually be doing a Dynasty startup mock on Thursday. Tomorrow. So we'll tackle that then. Loving the Mixon to the Texans potential trade. Call me crazy, but I actually think that's good news for Dameon Pierce, because I don't believe Mixon's the player that he used to be. And maybe this takes the Texans out of drafting a Trey Benson or a Jonathan Brooks or somebody like that. They could still go after Brooks specifically because of the ACL tear. Maybe they let him sit for a little, but I think Dameon Pierce may still be a good running back who just had a bad year last year, who maybe, was banged up or something like that. I don't know. I refuse to believe a guy that was like a top 15 graded running back his rookie season is just useless all of a sudden.
Yeah, I kind of agree there. However, I will say maybe it was the context of him being injured, but the performance, the metrics last year clearly dipped, and
they were bad. He was horrible. He was horrible last year, but it's
the fact that
offense. Like, if Dameon Pierce is rookie year Dameon Pierce, if any of that is left in the tank, he would crush his ADP. Like, he would absolutely like destroy it, because he was great his rookie season in a horrible offense running behind a bad offensive line. The O-line saw improvements. The offense as a whole saw improvements. The run scheme wise, is a lot better this year. So hopefully it was a bad year for Dameon Pierce and he can bounce back in 2024, because the price tag that you're getting on him in Dynasty specifically, and we'll see where he's going in redraft here. In Dynasty, man, you can get this guy for a mid-3rd rounder. And at that point in time, like, I would take the shot on Dameon Pierce before I take RB 8 or 9 in this class.
I'm more willing to invest to him in best ball. The reason being is that I can see a Tyler Algier type of payoff where even if he's not the starting running back, he's going to have usable weeks. And quite frankly, like, I can see him, like you mentioned, if he returns to the talent level that we saw, being able to be like the Chuba Hubbard of last year, where we talked about, the high price free agent / trade that they brought in with Miles Sanders. That would be Joe Mixon in this case.
Oh, Danny just drops out mid-sentence. You love to see that. Anyways, I think what Danny was about to say was Chuba Hubbard basically was such an auto smash for us in drafts because he was a low-priced guy that you could use in a committee backfield. But yeah, that was weird. Yeah. You just dropped out mid-sentence.
Yeah, no, that's my fault. I clicked my mouse by accident and the mouse button just took me out. So
Call me
on
crazy, but I
me,
actually really like JSN here.
I like JSN here.
We need wide receivers too.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of wish we attacked it a little bit earlier, but that's fine. Yeah, okay. I can do
Yeah, wide
or
receivers kind of
Dubs.
getting
Or
disgusting
Dubs.
early.
Or Dubs.
I think we could, dude. Look at the ADP difference
Okay,
between
okay,
JSN
yeah,
and
take it.
Dubs. Let's
Yeah,
grab JSN here, and hopefully
let's get Dubs
Dubs
on the
falls
wrap.
back to us.
Yeah, okay.
The wide receiver position's ripping off the board. I honestly wouldn't be terrible. I don't think it's terrible for us to deviate for a tight end or something here too, because I don't think wide receivers where the value is. We could go heavy on
I agree.
rookies and stuff.
No, I agree with you there. Like we don't need a running back for a while. Jordan Love get in the queue and two will get in the queue. But aside from that, like what round are we gonna have to take those guys?
Like I
Jordan
think
Love.
Kittle on the board at our next pick is a nice pick as well.
Bowers,
Like best ball darling.
I understand the risk level of a rookie tight end, but the spots that Bowers can realistically end up on top of Bowers just being the most refined tight end prospect that I've seen. Yes, you can make the argument that Kyle Pitts was a better tight end prospect purely because of the athleticism, but from a refinement standpoint, from a translatability standpoint, like I'd be shocked if Brock Bowers was an 800 plus yard, 5+ touchdown tight end in year one.
I can't take him over Kittle in redraft.
I agree with that.
Speaking of Pitts, is he on the board?
Pitts, I believe he should be gone, but you could check there. ITT. Yeah, he's gone. He's tight end 8, though.
Okay.
So he got
Ferguson,
reached on a little bit.
Fuck?
Yeah, that's pretty. Just take Kittle.
Yeah, Kittle's an easy pick here for me.
Yeah, I agree. 7th round Kittle is always going to be a value in drafts, I swear.
We kind of have to pivot because our draft room is just, they're bleeding yellow right now. They're orange or whatever. They just love them some wide receivers. So
I mean,
if we have to go a little heavier at the other positions and build out volume at wide receiver, I don't think that's a terrible idea. We can afford to cut off at 4 at running back. And if we get good tight ends and quarterback play, we can cut off maybe 2 each and go 9 or 10 wide receivers if we need to.
We almost got Watson to fall back, so that's kind of pain. Hopefully that guy doesn't snipe our Jordan Love. That's the issue that I have now. We might have to take Jordan Love on that 8.
Well, I mean, we do have Tua because we have Achane and Tyreek, so we could probably favorite Tua as well.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Ramondre or Spears in Dynasty? Where do you lean here?
Ramondre.
Yeah, I think I take Stevenson slightly, but I don't really want either of them realistically at this point in time. In a startup, at least. If you roster them or you can buy them low for like mid-second rounders in an actual league right now, I think that's fine. But if you're in a startup, I would imagine there's way better wide receiver, tight end, and quarterback options on the board.
Yeah, there it is. Fuck.
What's up?
Jordan Love.
Tough.
I mean, we didn't have a Packers wide
free
receiver,
agency.
so.
Also, Lions fan here. Hope that Carlton trade works out. Yeah, so the Carlton Davis trade, if you're a Lions fan listening to this, Carlton's a great corner. He's physical. He's going to fit your defense really well. He had an up and down season, and he's going to have up and down games. But when he's at his best, he can lock down the best in the league. So he's definitely a good corner for you guys. You probably still need to address the position in the draft, though.
Yeah, no, I agree. Where's Lockett? Where's his ADP at? Like is he still on the board? Lockett? Yeah.
Oh, he's
get him
way
in the
down
queue
there.
Dude, we can also backdoor Seattle here because we do have JSN.
Yeah, I don't know where Sharps goes to, but he could also be our 4th running back.
Yeah. No, I dig that. Yeah,
nice contingent upside RB4.
Walker's probably already off the board a couple rounds.
Right? Oh yeah, he's probably gone. Yeah. But I think Charbonnet
56.
fits this build anyway because we already have the 3 horses that we do. Hey lads, want to get your thoughts on this trade? Traded a 2025 first, a second, 111 and 311 for Purdy and CMC. The 2025 picks would have been late, but with them traded, they probably early now. Okay, so this guy bought his own first back from you and his own second back from you by the looks of it. So, I mean, you're selling an early-ish 2025 first. I think that's honestly probably the going rate for McCaffrey, to be honest, as much as you don't want to give up that kind of asset. An early second, 111 and 311 seems like a fairish trade for Brock Purdy to me. So,
yeah,
in your situation, I'm assuming you're a contender. I think this is a fine trade to make.
Yeah, like unfortunately in these spots when they're acquiring their picks back, you kind of want to make them bleed a little bit. You kind of want to get some extra juice knowing their motive behind trying to get their pick back. But honestly, if you're a contending team and this is all he was willing to offer and you're getting like you mentioned CMC who's going to be the redraft 101, you're getting Brock Purdy who's going to be a top 15 dynasty quarterback, like I don't mind making this move either.
Yeah, and I can tell you as somebody who has a 49ers onslaught team, it is quite fun watching them on Sundays when you have those two guys because it's just constant points. So it's going to be fun for your contender for sure. Mixon's going to be drafted because of the great Houston landing spot. I've seen a lot of people get excited about Mixon. I'm kind of shocked that everybody's
I don't know
really
how
excited
great the
about it. I'm
landing
like,
spot
okay,
is.
sure, whatever.
I
Like,
mean,
I mean,
like I get the quarterback, the scoring offense. I understand those peripheral factors for situational factors for Joe Mixon, but are we not forgetting that we were talking about the Texans' run game as being the worst in the NFL for the majority of last season? Like
yeah,
both
literally, their offensive line was not good run blocking.
at all.
Worse than Cincinnati's, I might add, and
Yeah.
also Cincinnati had this like unwavering loyalty to Joe Mixon to give him this huge workload. Like the second he starts playing poorly in Houston, who's to say Dameon Pierce doesn't have his juice back, or who's to say they don't draft somebody in the second or the third or the fourth round that works into the backfield as well? I think Houston's operating a San Francisco running back approach because that's where they came from. And Mixon's a body, Pierce is a body. They'll probably draft another one at some point in the draft, and whoever is performing well is going to get the touches. And if you had to put a gun to my head right now, who's a more talented running back, Dameon Pierce or Joe Mixon? I think it's Dameon Pierce still.
Yeah, I agree. Um,
That's a hot take, obviously, because of what Mixon's done at this point in his career, but he's also been
it
inefficient
is.
for years. He's great for fantasy when he was in Cincinnati because he was getting touches, but you have to keep the job to get those touches. And in Houston, they don't have any kind of like loyalty to him like they did in Cincinnati.
Can I interest you in a Brock Purdy? We have Kittle.
I don't hate Deontay here because we're kind of light at wide receiver.
That's fair. I don't mind that.
Purdy makes
what other
sense
wide
too,
receivers
though.
are there?
I think we have another pick here coming up. I guess these guys don't have quarterbacks, though. Does that guy have any 49ers quickly, Spicy?
Ooh, guy with no quarterbacks. McCaffrey. Yeah. Take him. Take Purdy.
Yeah, take Purdy.
Put Lockett. Yep. Perfect.
And then hopefully Deontay slides back to us because I think he's a half decent value at this point in time.
Yeah, I agree. That guy is probably pissed that we sniped Purdy. Does he have any Niners other than McCaffrey? Okay. That guy's just kind of doing his own thing, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know what that tight end build was that he just had with McBride and Kincaid.
Yeah. Where do we leave off in terms of comment? Okay, here we did it, Joe. CD is Dynasty wide receiver 1, and it's not up for debate. I still think it's up for debate, but I've been on the CD wide receiver 1 since the start of the offseason, so it's nice.
You cool with Deontay here? Sorry.
Check the wide receiver board real quickly. He should be the lead of it, but I mean, I also really don't mind an ad name Mitchell, especially given the landing spots he can land in. Like from an upside standpoint, because spike week standpoint, AD.
Let's go with Mitchell.
Yeah, I dig it. Let's go.
Let's take the upside on. We're gonna go like, I mean, we have Tyreek and Evans to anchor our consistency. We can really kind of veer off. Maybe we'll grab one more like safe guy. Lockett could be that dude for us. And then we could just hammer Xavier Worthy and those type of guys later on in the draft as well.
Honest to God, for the first stream that we've done in quite a while, I really like how this team is turning out. Especially if we can.
Yeah, I do too. I think we got great value. I mean, those are two dead zone running backs technically, but honest to God, like if this was 6 years ago, like how are Josh Jacobs and Isaiah Pacheco even getting out of the top 20, dude? Like honestly, like you think of the offenses that they're playing in, the workload that they're going to get. Like, are we forgetting that Pacheco was like an RB1 most of the year? Like in the Kansas City Chiefs offense? Like how is he a 5th round pick?
Yeah, no, that actually makes no sense. Wasn't he literally like a 6th round pick last year? Does everything everybody could have asked for him, and then
including like an increased receiving workload as well.
Yeah, no, that's wild.
What is the workload going to be like for Aaron Jones on the Vikings? Is he worth the hold in Dynasty for sure? I think so. He's definitely worth the hold if you're a contender. If you're not a contender, I think this is a good selling window for you. I don't think it's if you guys have Ty Chandler, I don't think he's dead. I think it's possible that that's like a 2-man committee there. It all depends kind of what they do in the draft at running back as well, because it's possible that they add another guy.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that.
I also don't think McBride is dead either. I thought Dwayne McBride was a good rushing prospect. I don't know what happened to him his rookie season, but he might factor in at some point if there's some injuries in that backfield there. IDub says, would you give up the 105 in Superflex Dynasty for London? Team doesn't have a need at quarterback, so I'm willing to move off the pick. My question to you would be, is Malik Neighbors going to be there? Because if Malik Neighbors is going to be there, I would prefer Malik Neighbors to Drake London. But if Malik Neighbors is gone and Daniels is your best available player, or May even, but if May is there, I would want to just sell the May pick.
That's the issue. It feels like it's buying London at a high after everything that's happened, because you wouldn't have had to give up the 105 for London a week ago. So
You could have
again, I
gotten him for
understand.
107, 108 before this. I think this is what he's worth.
I agree.
But at the same time, if Neighbors is there or if somehow Drake May falls there, I will feel sick about trading that pick.
And can you get there in a different way? Like, can you get there using the 108 plus, the 109 plus? Like, I always have, especially in this class, given how talented the top 5 is, I always have trouble just trading the pick straight up. Like, can I work up and give up multiple assets to consolidate to a guy like Drake London, especially given the market dynamic that he saw just a week ago?
I think the tough thing too is like, so nobody feels like mentioning this, and I get it. I'm the biased Buccaneers fan here. Like, Kirk Cousins is 36 years old and is coming off of a torn Achilles. So, like, as much as this could work, and we love that for Drake London, we love that for Kyle Pitts, like, the Atlanta Falcons cut Matt Ryan when he was 35. Like, Kirk Cousins is older than Matt Ryan was when Matt Ryan was cut by the Falcons. So, are we certain that this is going to work? Like, I think it's a good bet. Kirk Cousins is a top 15 quarterback. And obviously, as a Bucs fan, I prefer Baker at cost versus Kirk Cousins. But to me, I don't think I'm ready to lock this in. This is an absolute slam dunk going to happen because an older quarterback coming off a torn Achilles, like, it's no joke. Like, he could definitely have some growing pains and it might not necessarily work out there. But I do trust the coaching staff that they've brought in. I trust the weapons. So I lean towards it's going to work, but it might not.
Yeah, no, I agree. Sorry, I'm just doing this because you know why.
Yeah, you want him to fall to us. Is Tua on the board still? Yeah, he is. Okay.
Put him in the queue. Put him in the queue.
Yeah, Tua definitely needs to be in the queue there as well because we do have Achane and Tyreek. I actually really like the idea of those two quarterbacks and just going with those two and not touching the quarterback position. Well, Johnny Brooks goes off the board at 115 there too.
If we miss out on Tua, then we would have to make a 3 quarterback build. So ideally, we don't miss out on Tua, and we could just end it at 2 because we have the correlating factors of the team.
The question is, which one of these guys do we go with if they're both on the board?
Given the fact that W Dunk still doesn't have, I think you got to go with Tua with the investment on Devon and Tyreek. Personally,
who does W Dunk have at wide receiver? Quickly, I just want to see if he'd be inclined to take Tua.
Yes, Waddle.
Yeah, he has Waddle. Yeah, we got to go with Tua here.
Yeah, especially too knowing like even if he didn't have Waddle, the fact that
he's probably not going to take Lockett.
The fact that we sniped Purdy from him would probably also like influence his decision as well.
Yeah.
I've seen petty draft rooms, man. You snipe me once, guess what? I'm ruining your draft.
So is taking JSN and Lockett a dumb idea?
No, I don't think so.
Because like, what if Lockett's downfall is why JSN breaks out? You know what I mean?
I mean, I would point to the fact that you have contingent value that if DK Metcalf misses, and not to mention you don't need them to be high performance every week. You just kind of need them to trade off spike weeks.
Or if they overlap, like Lockett's good at the beginning of the season, JSN breaks out down the stretch. I mean, Keon Coleman is quite interesting here as well, but
I like Lockett.
Let's go with Lockett. Let's roll with Lockett here.
Yeah.
Can we let's take a look at the rookie wideouts quickly before you move to the board. I want to just star Keon Coleman, like literally go through the rookie wideouts and star them. Because if Keon Coleman, Xavier Worthy, Dontavian Wicks,
Worthy's gone, right?
Not
surely Worthy's gone. Wicks
is Worthy gone?
Surely, right? Like he would go before Coleman.
I could see Worthy not being gone, to be honest. Did he just go? Lad McConkey, Adonai Mitchell. He went right before our Adonai Mitchell pick there.
Fair enough.
Yeah, you could probably star Wicks as well if he's not off the board, unless he just went. He might have actually just gone.
Also, the rookie running backs, I noticed Brooks just went off the board. Obviously, the risk level
Wicks
there's
literally
with
just
the
went.
ACL.
That's unfortunate.
Dude, Zach Moss in the 11th round. If Zach Moss is going to be an 11th rounder, I'm assuming Chase Brown's going to be valued lower than that. I might just have to own the entirety of this.
Derrick Henry to the Ravens. 2-year, $20 million deal.
Wow, he got 10 per on this market.
And the Patriots are making a hard push to sign Calvin Ridley. The belief is that he prefers to return to Jacksonville.
What the fuck? Why?
Are the fucking Jaguars just going to torch their entire salary cap on pass catchers? I guess you don't have to pay Trevor yet, so I guess it kind of makes sense, but
why not just draft one? Like,
I know it's a great draft for wide receivers. I don't know what they're doing, but is Fields a low ball offer right now? Hoping he lands on his feet. I mean, depends what you can get for him. If you can send a second round pick of any kind for Justin Fields, then yes, I would go and trade for him. but any first round capital, and he would be off my team. And I'm trying to sell him on a lot of
Even the
leagues right now.
112?
So
Even the
what's up?
112? Even the
Yeah,
112?
I would sell him for the 112 right now.
Interesting. I mean, it depends what my quarterback situation is. If he's like my QB3, which he probably won't be actually, like that's the tough thing, right? Like if Fields is your
He's
quarterback too,
probably
are
your
you
QB
really
one or
selling
two
him?
in most people's cases.
If that's the case, are you really actually going to sell him for the 112?
Yes.
Fair enough.
I view him kind of the same way I viewed Watson, where it's like, could he hit? Sure. But I actually think his downside scenario is much more likely at this point in time. So I'm probably just going to offload that risk.
For sure. I have 3 third-round picks this year. Is there a player I could swap out at running back or wide receiver in terms of the draft?
Ask us this question in May.
Yeah, like we won't know this right
it's
now.
way too early to tell right now for that. And those picks will have more value then too.
Yeah, no, I feel like 111 is about the market value I would see for Fields. Like if you can get him for 211, obviously I'm buying at that cost. Because like worst case scenario, like you lose the 211, is there really going to be a magnifying hit? Unless it's like Sam Laporta or Rashee Rice all over again. Like if you give up Chase Brown, the asset for the chance on Justin Fields, would you really be mad at yourself?
No, absolutely not. And like this class, yeah, 211, maybe you're giving up like Jalen McMillan or something like that. But I don't know. I'm still fine doing that for the upside swing.
Give me Addison there, Brandon.
I think this is a deeper conversation than just simply it's Jordan Addison, though, to be honest.
No, I agree. I mean, like, for what it's worth, they're separated by like 3 total ranks in my rankings right now.
I think they're separated by 2 in mine. So they're definitely really close.
Sharpen, I know.
I think JSN's obviously the upside play. He was, in most people's minds, a better prospect. And also, he doesn't have a Justin Jefferson to compete with as much as DK Metcalf is a good player. I think if JSN turns into the guy that we thought JSN could be, he could overtake DK Metcalf just in terms of target share and overall PPR upside or whatever. But I think Jordan Addison is the safer bet for like a consistent wide receiver 2-3 type for the most part the rest of his career. Because JSN could really bottom out. By week 7, we could be talking about JSN the way we're talking about Treylon Burks and Jameson Williams right now.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, Bush, thoughts on the Falcons being the runaway favorites to win the South after 1 day, 2 days of free agency?
Classic Falcons winning the offseason. How about you guys win some fucking games before we make you the runaway favorites? 3-time NFC South champions. We did it with a $3 million quarterback last year. You know why? Because our coaching and our roster are better than yours. So,
JK, seriously, what do you guys think the odds are Falcons go wide receiver even after signing Mooney? I would still.
They're not going to take a wide receiver at 8. Anybody that thought that, I don't think that's going to happen. Oh, we're on the clock.
We are on the clock.
Take Leggett, honestly. I think that's a good value for him.
Yeah. I like Leggett. Also, I think we got to start looking at tight end soon too.
Yeah. Well, Kraft is a nice backdoor tight end option that we have because we have
hear me out. It's gross. There. It's gross, but for tight end 3, can I interest you in a Jonnu Smith?
Yeah, it's not terrible. Like what's also Roshan Johnson is a guy that I wouldn't mind bookending our running back core with.
I like that.
Oh, he just went. That's
brutal. Is Chase Brown available? Chase Brown may be available. He must.
No, he's gone.
Wow, his ADP rose. Okay, fair.
Let's see what else we got here on the board. I don't think Freiermuth is a bad option at this point in time. I think Khalil Herbert's an okay option.
Is Isaac Guerendo or Jalen Wright in the fucking system?
Mims maybe too.
I think Freiermuth if we don't have a better option.
Let's just take Freiermuth. Yeah, he's a fine option.
All right, let's stack up some of the board just so we're not like
we could maybe do a third tight end with our last pick if Kraft is still there, but I'd be fine bookending it with those two with Kittle and Freiermuth if we need to.
Is Guerendo available?
I can't imagine he would be off the board yet.
Yeah, I just want to see what his ADP is.
GUER.
Yeah.
He's
not even in the system. Wow.
Try Isaac. Isaac. ISAA.
Wow, he's not even.
He's literally not even in the system. That's crazy. You can't even draft Isaac Guerendo right now.
That's pretty wild. Interesting.
Anyways, what do we think of Derrick Henry? I guess we haven't even really talked about it yet.
I mean, obviously the prime fit for both his style and ultimately how he's going to pay off. Just imagine like what we saw from Gus Edwards last year, but taken to the next level because he's not splitting time with other running backs in that system. That means that they're not bringing back J.K. Dobbins for the record. Like I'd be extremely shocked. I mean, if he's getting 18 touches, 20 touches per game on the Baltimore Ravens, like he's going to be a back end RB1, high end RB2 with ease.
He's got to be a
Right?
dead zone running back also, though, right? Like that's where he's going to get drafted, I would imagine. He's be like kind of where Mark Ingram was going towards the back half of his career when he was on Baltimore.
Derrick Henry or Aaron Jones?
If the backfield stays as is in Minnesota, I think I would take Aaron Jones, to be honest. In any kind of PPR format, you have the pass catching upside with him.
Well, let's go to the overall board and kind of project how we think the running back position is kind of overlaid. So click the grid, Spicy. Yeah. So I mean, obviously, we'll scroll for a sec. So Bijan, McCaffrey, Brees, Jameer, Kyron, Jonathan Taylor, Saquon, Devon.
I think Saquon might lean into round one as well, but most of the guys are going to go at the early portion. I think this is probably how it's going to go. There's going to be a lull of wide receivers that goes off the board from like late second to mid to late third. And then we have like, where ETN and Ramondre and stuff were going last year is when I think Josh Jacobs, Rashad White, Isaiah Pacheco, James Cook will go.
Well, how far off do you think Henry and Jones are going to be from that Pacheco, James Cook area?
I think they'll be closer to where Eckler and Swift and Ramondre were just going there.
Really?
Maybe not Henry, because Henry's on the Ravens, so he'll probably find his way, like go to the 5th round. Like who went in round 5? Yeah, like Kenneth Walker area makes sense probably for where Derrick Henry would go.
I'm easily taking Henry and Jones over Walker, like no hesitation.
I'll take Kenneth Walker over Henry, I think.
Yeah, I mean, worse offense, backfield competition. I'm just going to take the touches.
Yeah, I mean, ETN at 4.3 is exactly where he was going last year, and he like outperformed his ADP. So I think he's a good option as well.
I would also say
I think that's a good price for him. I don't think he's like a screaming value. I just think that's a good price for him.
I'm more pessimistic on the Jags though than I was last year, hence why I'm less willing to take him at that spot than I was last year.
I'm more pessimistic than I was last year, but I'm more optimistic that they're going to get better than they were actually performing last year. It's like this time last year, I loved the Jags offense to break out, but I still think that's in the range of outcomes for him.
Yeah, I mean, potentially. I just think at this point, like Henry versus ETN versus Jones is at least a conversation rather than ETN just being like a tier above those guys personally.
Yeah, the dead zone's going to be hard to parse through this year, I think, because there's going to be some landmines for sure that actually end up like really busting hard.
Herbert's got to be a screaming value at this point, right?
Yeah, Herbert's a pretty good value. I think Demario Douglas is kind of interesting, but he's not really the best ball guy. I mean, we could, if we wanted to do 3 quarterbacks, we do have Mike Evans, but I don't think we need to take Baker. It seems kind of redundant to me.
I don't mind getting our 4th and final running back on this team right now, so we don't have to scrummage.
Do we want to
go
to the running back position?
Yeah,
Spicy
running back. Yeah, let's keep going. Like,
I mean, I don't mind Estime. I don't mind even just contingent upside.
Mitchell?
Tyler Algier too.
Mitchell too. We have 49ers, and I mean, like obviously,
I think Mitchell's kind of washed. To be honest, I think
he's efficient.
If Christian McCaffrey were to go down, I think that Jordan Mason actually has equal upside to Elijah Mitchell to actually win the job.
I also don't hate. This sounds gross. I don't hate Antonio Gibson. I don't hate him at this cost.
I don't hate Dobbins or Pierce, to be
honest. Dowdle is
either.
Interesting. Honestly, I
actually think Estime is the best option on the board, to be honest.
Honestly, just take a receiver right now and see whatever falls back, because there's a bunch of names I'd be confident in. What wide receivers are here? Like, just search by wide receiver, Spicy. Like
Tez Walker.
Go up a little bit. I also don't hate Thielen.
Yeah,
kind of
start
gross,
Thielen.
Yeah, Thielen.
Let's go with Thielen. We're going with the all sexless fucking wide receiver core right now.
I mean, like, we have
a good mix of like sexless Lockett and Thielen with Leggett and Mitchell, who are upside plays.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? Maybe Leggett is a Panther, and then Thielen is like the guy that takes it over at the start of the season, and then Leggett down the stretch.
Leggett going to Carolina would actually be a really good fit, I think.
Oh, yeah. It'd be so funny, though, because could you imagine the fucking memes of like the Spider-Man pointing at each other of people on Twitter with him and Mingo? People are just going to make all those memes. Even though, like,
it would be so funny.
Even though, for the record, those of you watching, again, 267, appreciate you guys for tuning in right now. If you haven't already done so, leave a like. They couldn't be more different as players. Like, I understand the athletic factor of them, but you watch Leggett and you watch Mingo, and it's clear which one's way more refined. Like,
Johnny Wilson is actually a lot more like Mingo if we're comparing a receiver from this class, like a big slot type of archetype. Yeah, Estime is a good pick there. I think he's a good fourth running back for that build. Where was I leaving off here in the comments? Let's see if I can find some here. Tuning in later, I'm assuming they cover the remaining free agency moves at the beginning of the live. Yes, we did, Cody. Hurricane Lanes, his 16-team Superflex startup trade at the 2-3 turn, non-third round reversal for 110, rookie 101 in the 407. So,
I mean, in a 16-teamer.
The 2-3 turn, you traded the 2-3 turn pick for 110, the rookie 101, and the 2-3 turn.
But the 2-3 turn in a 16-teamer is nothing. That's like the 4th, 5th round in a regular league.
Yeah, it's more like early 4th, I think, probably, is what you're looking at. Because you said it's a non-third round reversal. So it's the 211 or the 212 and the 301 that you traded away.
Which is the 32nd and 33rd pick.
I guess, in the 301, which is more like mid
32nd and 33rd picks.
Yeah.
So like, give me the 110. Give me the quarterback equity of Caleb easily.
Yeah, and I mean, you got the 407 back too, which is like probably a late 5th of regular 12-team value, probably. So
because you're also assuming here too, at the first overall pick, he's taking Josh Allen. He trades up, he gets Caleb Williams. So that 407, he's not going to be seeking getting a quarterback too. He's already going to have his 2 quarterbacks, and at that point, you're just stacking up pass catchers, you're just stacking up win now talent because you have Josh Allen and Caleb in a 16-team superflex.
Yeah, that's a pretty solid move there.
Yeah.
Going to run those 49ers. I got into the ground. Rodgers, Young, Caleb, Jefferson, Olave, AJ Brown, and Kyle Pitts. So that CMC hammer was good. Yeah, that's a great looking team. I'm almost 100% sure Neighbors will go 3 or 4, as in to New England or to the Cardinals.
Because he has got the 105. He was asking 105 or London.
Oh, okay. I see. Right. Yeah, if Neighbors is off the board and you're looking at Daniels or May there, like, I would say that's fine to give up for London. I think I would want a plus on top of that, or wait to make that move until the draft time, because if you can sell to a quarterback and ED team, you might get a better asset, or at least more on top of a guy like Drake London, if that team specifically is doing it for a quarterback. Because if they're trading for 105, it's possible that's why they're trading for it. So maybe give them a little bit of a quarterback tax and ask them for like London at a 2 or something for the 105.
For sure. By the way, so apparently Jordan Brooks signed with the Dolphins yesterday. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
The
Jags are the worst GM in the... Yeah, the Balky's, I don't know what the fuck he's doing, to be honest. Like, why would you sign Gabe Davis 3 years, $13 million per, when you could have just drafted a 2nd or 3rd round receiver to fill a Gabe Davis? Or like Tez Walker would probably be on the board in the 3rd round. You could have just drafted him.
I mean,
Javon Baker, same thing.
Am I off base to say that you can get a similar player archetype to Gabe Davis in the 4th or 5th round of this class?
No, I don't think that's outrageous at all.
Like, you're telling me that you can't sign Brendan or
Jermaine
you can't
Burton in round 4 is not going to accomplish the same role?
Dude, even fucking Brendan Rice, bro. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, Brendan Rice. I mean, Baker and Walker are the 2 that are like clones of Gabe Davis, like in terms of what they do well. But I think Javon Baker might be a day 3 pick. Like, if you could get him on day 3, like,
I think
why
he'll
not
go day 2.
do that?
I think he might go day 2, but like you said, whether it's Baker, whether it's Brendan Rice, whether it's freaking insert big-bodied outside wide receiver here, like, is there a big difference between doing that versus paying Gabe Davis $13 fucking million at the minimum?
You got to be worried about
17 a year.
If Trevor hits this year, like, you're going to have to back up a truck for him. Like, you got to be worried about that a little bit.
Well, I mean, right off the bat, like, Dak's probably going to sign for like 58 to 60 million. And then if Trevor Lawrence bounces back, given the fact that he's a younger quarterback,
Dak's 60 million, bro. Like, I will take Baker at 30 any day of the week.
No fucking shot. I'm taking a top 8 quarterback at 60 million every single time.
All I'm saying, Dak's track record is way longer than Baker's, but all I'm saying is Dak and Baker, Dak played better, but did he play $30 million per year better last year? No.
He was the second. What do you mean? He was second in MVP running. What the fuck are you talking about?
No, he was great. He was great, but Baker was like a top 12 quarterback by every metric last year.
Okay, and so that goes without saying. Okay, Lamar Jackson won the MVP last year. He's making $55 million. Like, it's just how the nature of the position works.
I don't know. Not like, the point. Anyways, I think the Baker deal was, people are ripping on the Baker deal, and I don't get it. I really don't.
I'm cool with it, especially because
they don't understand the contract details. They see 3 years, 100, and they don't realize it's literally a 2-year, $50 million deal. That if Baker is terrible this year, we eat 40 million, and we only are on the hook for 10.
No, I feel
going forward. So
it was well structured, to be fair, and it at least gives you.
I don't mind Trey Palmer here. I actually kind of like him as a guy to potentially break out next year. What other wideouts are on the board here? Can you just go to wide receivers?
Yeah.
Like Malik Washington too. I mean, are we going to get disgusting and stack up Mingo as well? I go with Carolina stacks.
Can't do that.
No,
I
it's
like
disgusting.
Washington.
Let's go Malik Washington or Palmer. I don't give a shit which one, to be honest.
Malik Washington has that spike week type of upside, so I'm happy with
Yeah,
that.
I'm fine going with Palmer also here with 195, just because we have Evans as well.
I just don't know if we need a receiver at this point. We have 8, and we kind of need a tight end.
Yeah, but I think Kraft is still on the board, no?
Check if what's available. Kraft 201.
Kraft is
Okay,
like
so
way down there, bro.
we can get him at the next pick. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fair. Do you think we need 9 receivers though?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because we have no middle class on our team at receiver. Like we just have 2 studs and then like a bunch of upside, and then 2
Fair.
safe guys.
Fair.
So
I mean, I was cool
in
with
that position to me makes sense.
Yeah, I was cool with a 9th receiver or a 5th running back, but like I'm cool with the 9th receiver because then we're just gonna get Kraft with the next tight end pick.
Yeah. What else we got here? Colts, Texans, and Titans all making decent moves, and then the Jags do this. Yeah, fact.
Joe Mixon to Houston.
What do we think of Carolina's moves? Because I guess they haven't been fantasy relevant, but they signed 2 like extremely high priced guards.
Yeah, because they got what Hunt. Who was the other one that they brought in?
Damian Lewis.
They got Damian Lewis in, eh?
Damian Lewis is also like 6'1" too, which is like kind of a sneaky underrated thing for a guard to be only 6'1" when your quarterback is Bryce Young.
Facts. Oh my God, Kraft went.
Okay, that's fine. There's other tight ends that are late that are good options.
Fair.
Go to the tight end board, Spicy. I bet we can find somebody. I also don't think it's like, I mean, Darren Waller, if he falls to us, is like a pretty decent value.
I love the value on Chigakonkwo when he was going like 10 and 11
Dulcich
last
is
year.
at 229 too.
Okonkwo, Dulcich are really nice there. Hear me out. I know it's disgusting, but Zach Ertz is not a bad value at 30.
Dude, Zach Ertz is actually a half decent pick, to be honest.
I mean, if Darren Waller also wants to fall, I won't hate that. An 18th round Darren Waller after this guy was going in like what, the 4th or 5th last year?
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Absolutely crazy. Oh yeah, the Jags side Duvernay too, dude. I fucking forgot they did that.
Somebody's got to take the Jamal Agnew role.
Yeah, literally. They've been making a living off that role. Ryan says, my receivers are Metcalf, Puka, Addison, Smith, Higgins. I have the 103 and 105. I'm struggling at quarterback and running back. I'm probably going to get Drake May, but if Neighbors is available, should I draft him? So if you're looking for a running back and you're a competitive team and you can sell 105 for a competitive running back like Jonathan Taylor, or hell, maybe you can get one of the top guys by adding something, I think that's a fine move to make as well. I probably would just take May and Neighbors if those are the best available players on the board and figure the rest out later. If you got to sell Metcalf for a running back closer to the season, that's something that I would probably do as well.
Yeah, that's what I was going to mention too. Like, can you sell one of Addison, Smith, or Metcalf for maybe not Addison because his market value is a little bit depressed.
I'd say
right
Metcalf is the guy that I would lean towards selling because he's a big name. You could
Metcalf
probably
or
get
Smith?
Saquon or Jacobs plus for Metcalf, I'd imagine.
I was gonna say Metcalf or Smith because I also think Smith's market value right now is like a 3-4 type of turn pick, maybe a 4th round startup pick. And at that point, it's like, how many running backs can you get? Can you get Devon Achane for Devontae Smith straight up? Can you get Jonathan Taylor, like you said? Can you get maybe even Kyron plus a little plus? Like those are the type of running backs I'd be targeting. And Devontae Smith, for as good as he is, like, is he really gonna make you lose sleep at night losing him off of your team?
No, not really. One thing I'd like to ask you, because this was the case last year as well, and some people like were banging the drum that these guys were overvalued. So Smith and Waddle last year were like back end wide receiver ones in Dynasty, right? They were like 11, 12 or whatever. Now they're like 15, 16.
That's
Is that still too high? Do you think they should be going lower than that?
It feels a little bit high. I'm not going to lie. Now, to be fair, so I have Smith at 15, Waddle at 16, right after Dunze at 14. I have Ayuk higher because, I mean, he's shown top 5 level superstar talent that as good as Smith and Waddle are, I just think Ayuk talent-wise is a step above them.
Yeah.
So I would consider him closer to Tyreek. But then you get into, like I said, Smith and Waddle, 15, 16. I think they're well within a tier of Nico, Rashee Rice, DJ Moore, Michael Pittman Jr., Tank Dell. I would slightly, and I mean, honestly, even if you want to get down to like T. Higgins, I don't think there's
I have
much
Higgins
of a
in that tier. I'm a little higher on Higgins than you. I guess the question for me is like, it's unquestionable that Rashee Rice has a higher ceiling than Devontae Smith does. Like he has a higher ceiling because he could be the number. Like even if they add a receiver in the draft, there's no saying that Rashee Rice is not the best receiver on that team still. Like even if they draft Troy Franklin or Adonai Mitchell or whatever, like I wouldn't put it past Rashee Rice to still be the best receiver there. So if that's the case, like he should probably go ahead of Devontae Smith in dynasty drafts.
No, I agree. I mean, like, it's really a fascinating thing. I still have Smith a little bit higher, but like you said, the ceiling factor with Rashid Rice definitely exists.
Especially
It's tough,
considering like
man.
the Eagles are not going to throw the ball at the level that,
The
the
Chiefs will.
Chiefs are going to throw the ball too.
Concord
I like
Dolchich. I think I like
I
Dolchich.
like Dolchich a little better. I got burned on my Dolchich
No,
bags. I also don't think it's bad to stick with two tight ends and grab Damian Pierce here.
I like Dolchich better here, but I mean, like, I think we're a little too thin at tight end, to be honest.
All right. Kittle and
Because, like,
Fryermuth is probably not quite
yeah.
enough there. So
Whereas, like, with Dolchich too, you can kind of convince yourself. No Jerry Judy, possibly losing Cortland Sutton, new quarterback at the helm there. Like, I can see him having that third-year breakout because, I mean, we saw how efficient he was as a rookie last year. Obviously, missed some time due to injury. I think this could be a nice little bounce back.
yeah, I agree. I think what was I going to
Pierce
say?
might fall back to us.
Yeah, he might actually. I forgot we had another. I forgot there's a 20 round
20.
draft here, right?
Yeah, 20 rounds.
Yeah, I actually totally forgot it was 20 rounds. Is there any quarterbacks on the board? Because I wouldn't hate taking a third quarterback if there's one available. Like Will Levis is a pretty decent value at
or
this point in time. And I
JJ.
guess we have Thielen, so we could
Carolina.
take Bryce Young as well. Or we could go with JJ.
Yeah, I mean, those are the main three, I would say. So I would highlight
I think
those
Levis
guys.
is the best option there, to be honest. But I
Honestly,
think Pierce is a great pick here, to be honest.
yeah, let's go Pierce first and then see which quarterback falls back. Honestly, if any of the top four on that list fall back, I'm insta taking them, to be
Even
honest.
DJ?
Even Daniel Jones, because I don't think that they'll draft a quarterback. And I mean, 20th round Daniel Jones, assuming he's a starting quarterback, is going to be good value. Yeah. Like,
yeah,
he was what, the quarterback 9 in fantasy 2 years ago?
Yeah. I mean, the ACL might impact his running ability.
That's
but
fair.
Brock says, I don't know, no more Dave. So Dave Canales, let me get one thing clear here. Dave Canales is not a needle-moving offensive coordinator. He is not. He is a good offensive coordinator, but Liam Cohen coming in from Kentucky in the Rams scheme is as good, if not
very
potentially
comparable.
better. So I am not concerned about Dave Canales leaving. Arthur Smith changes maybe that dynamic because Zach Robinson and Raheem Morris are definitely better coaches than him. At least it looks like that on paper. So I'll give the Falcons that. They should be better this year, and I think the division will be more competitive. Even though I think it actually came down to week 18 last year, so that's a bad example. But I think both of these teams have the ability to win like 10 games, the Bucs and the Falcons. But I don't think either of them are going to be better than that.
Now, I will disagree a little bit because I honestly think the Falcons are going to be like an 11-ish type of win season, assuming Kirk Cousins is healthy.
Cousins got to play exactly how he played in Minnesota for that to happen. And I don't think that's a guarantee coming off of a major injury. Moving teams, moving schemes, 36 years old. There's a lot of risk there, in my opinion. I think if you get 90% of Vikings Kirk Cousins, you should be pretty happy as a Falcons fan.
Yeah, and obviously that's the optimistic projection because I feel like their range of outcomes obviously is volatile based off the health of Kirk Cousins. Honestly, I wouldn't even be shocked if the Falcons drafted a round 3, round 4 quarterback to give them some insurance because I don't think they want to trust Desmond Ridder there. I don't think is Taylor Heineke even re-signed.
Like, no, I think they could also. I mean, there's still a couple backups on the wire right now that they could go after. Maybe even a Sam Howell or something like that if they wanted to trade a late pick for him. Yeah, I think that makes sense. What would you need added to London to give up 105 right now? Any second round pick, I would probably do it.
Yeah, I would agree.
Try to get a late first. I doubt you're going to get that, but a second rounder, I'd probably do it. If you can get a late first, obviously, laugh your way to the bank. I'm definitely a realistic Falcons fan, brother, but I'm well aware we're the epitome of mid. Yeah, literally, how many 7-win seasons have the Falcons had? Like 6 of the last 8 years or something. But I'm very happy we were at least aggressive and went out and got Kirk. Yeah, I agree. I personally, if I was the Atlanta Falcons, would have gotten aggressive in the draft, not with Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, with like Drake May or something.
Because like, even if you have to give up your first round pick next year and like a second rounder or whatever, like you have infrastructure in place on offense already. Like your offensive line's pretty good. You have the receivers, minus the depth or whatever you could. I mean, again, that doesn't preclude you from signing Darnell Mooney still, like you just did. I would have gone up and gone after Drake May, or if you're a huge JJ McCarthy, Jane Daniels, team or whatever, that makes sense to me. So I think going after Cousins is technically aggressive, but it might be over aggressive given the injury that he's coming off of. And you like, if he's a shell of himself next year, like you are on the hook for years. With that
I think they got a note after 2, so it's not like that big of a deal. Like if he shows bad this year,
you just got out of this situation with Matt Ryan. Like they just got out of cap hell because of the Matt Ryan contract. So you
I mean, I wouldn't consider it cap
it's like paying off a really expensive car that you couldn't afford and then going out and buying a Mercedes the next day.
I would disagree because I think the structure of the Matt Ryan deal was much worse than the Kirk Cousins one because they have an out after 2 years. They can basically say, okay, the guaranteed money lasts for the next 2 years where we're on the hook for $90 million. Outside of that, nothing else is guaranteed. So I like the way they structured it where if Kirk Cousins maybe isn't the same quarterback off the Achilles or maybe gets hurt again because he's an older player with a compromised Achilles, then at that point it's like, okay, we only have to endure this for the 2024 and the 2025 season. And if it doesn't look like it's paying off at the end of 2025, we're wiping our hands clean of that deal.
Yeah, I think to me, it just seemed like an older owner wants to win a Super Bowl before he's gone.
Yeah.
And that's why they didn't just draft a quarterback. Because I think the smarter move would have been to trade up for a quarterback.
Yeah, no, that's fair. It depends what would be available. By the way, if JJ is
it's possible though that like I say that and none of the top 3 teams are even willing to entertain a trade down.
Give me JJ. Give me JJ.
Yeah, Danny wants JJ on this team. Pittman is a Colt for life. Going to look nice with Bowers next year. I'm already calling it, Brock. Michael Pittman Jr. is going to sign an end of his career contract with the Buccaneers because that's where he grew up and his dad played for us. So, where we at Dobbins now? Would the Panthers have interest? That would be a nice little landing spot for J.K. Dobbins. I think Dobbins is still the type of guy that could come back from the injury, but we'll see what the NFL thinks because I wouldn't be shocked if he sits out there for a while in free agency. McCarthy literally gets sniped 1 pick before us.
No way.
So are we just rolling with a 2 QB build here?
He auto-picked JJ McCarthy. No, we got to go with the third, bro. We got to. Bo Nix.
Is Nix on the board? Yeah, grab Nix.
Well, the guy auto JJ McCarthy. Isn't that his 5th quarterback? Click P. McDonald. Oh, great. That's his 3rd quarterback. Okay, fair. Fuck. That's actually tilting. That's tilting.
Yeah, that's wild.
Wow, that's crazy.
Okay, what else we got here? Got offered 106 for Saquon and Gibson. If that's a super flex 106, then I'm taking that. In a 1 quarterback league, I think that's probably the going rate though for Saquon.
Yeah. Oh, 1 quarterback easily. Yeah. I actually, so I raised.
You literally, why would you sign Duvernay? That's just the Jags being the Jags.
Exactly, Brock. Brock knows ball with that take. By the way, where do you have Saquon Barkley in your dynasty ranks now? I mean, we may as well kind of.
Yeah. So I think Barkley didn't move up too much because I was already higher on Barkley probably than you were.
I moved him a little bit.
I had him at 12 behind like Kenneth Walker and Isaiah Pacheco before, and now I have him at 10. And I moved Jacobs up to 11 as well. So both of those guys are top 12 dynasty running backs for me. They are the only real middle-class contending buys at the running back position that I can talk myself into outside of Jonathan Taylor and Travis Etienne. And then of course, like the top 3 guys. Cause like, even with Achane and Kyron Williams and Rashad White and those guys, like I'm a little nervous still that like they're going to have competition added.
I'm not going to lie. I may have them even a little bit higher. Because I think they honestly, in their respective rights, with Jacobs to the Packers and with Barkley to the Eagles, like you can make the case they landed with their nuts landing spots, especially given the term
actually, you know what?
deal.
I would definitely take Barkley over Rashad White now that I think about it.
I'm taking both over Travis Etienne. I'm taking both of them over Travis Etienne.
I can't do that.
So I have them 8, 9, and then Etienne at 10 right now, and then Rashad White at 11.
So you're a little lower on Etienne. He might have to be a buy candidate for me because I still have him at 6. I haven't moved him at all.
Fair. I mean,
7. Sorry, behind Achane, 7.
Wow. So you have him over Kyron.
I do.
Fair. Now, let's just say, is that due to?
I would change that post draft.
Okay.
Honestly, that's even now post free agency, now that there's like some bodies off the board or whatever, I might consider moving Kyron ahead of him.
No, that's fair. That's basically my premise is like I went under the assumption that they're not adding anybody, but if you're under the assumption maybe they'd add somebody, I understand having Kyron a little bit lower, but right now,
Kyron truther apparently.
Fair. I mean, the thing with Etienne is if he showed the same level of efficiency down and down that he did 2 years ago, I wouldn't be as cautious. But with the Jaguars offense looking worse, with Etienne being way less efficient as a runner, with seeing how Balky has kind of patchworked their needs with terrible deals at wide receiver, like I'm more cautious about the Jags offense, especially now compared to what I was going into last year.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. They started a rookie left tackle last year. Lawrence was injured.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if Ridley's going to be back or if they're going to add a receiver in the draft or whatever. I have more optimism that, like, obviously not than I did last year, because last year I thought they were going to be like the Eagles of 2022 or whatever, but I still have more optimism than most other people do on the Jacksonville Jaguars offense. Derrick Henry or the rookie 208 plus a 2025 third. I'll take Derrick Henry there, to be honest.
I think that's about fair value, though.
Especially considering you said you're a contender. You have McCaffrey and Purdy and all those guys. I think Derrick Henry's probably a fair buy at that point. Panthers GM might be worse than the Jaguars. I actually don't think it's the GM at all. I think it's the owner making these moves or trying to make these moves or whatever.
Well, apparently, obviously, again, like, we both thought that Bryce Young was the first overall quarterback last year, but apparently the coaching staff for the Panthers really wanted CJ Stroud, and the owner stepped in and basically said, no, like, you're taking Bryce Young. Like, this is my pick that I just traded up for. Like, it feels like a little bit of a power issue with him on top of, I mean, but you remember the Jaguars game, I believe it was, where he threw a drink on the fan. Like, that to me is just entitled owner. Like, I'm a level above you, therefore, like, you are my garbage can. I can fucking chuck drinks.
I know. And you think of what's below the owner's box. It's the nosebleed seats, like not like the rich seats. Like, you got a billionaire owner dumping like drinks on like probably not well off people sitting in the nosebleed seats.
It's literally all. It felt to me, obviously, he's going to brush it off as, oh, I just lost my anger, but it's almost a little bit of an internal factor. Like, is he just doing that because he knows, like, those fans like struggled to get those tickets? Like, I don't know. Like, there has to be.
No, he's just a douchebag. He's clearly a douchebag. Like, I don't know. I'm not like. I should have listened to my gut instinct more on Bryce Young to the Carolina Panthers, because when the trade happened, when they traded up for 1-1, I was like, dude, I might be avoiding whoever goes to Carolina, whoever it is. That was my gut reaction. I should have stuck to that, I think.
Yeah, and especially, too, because we've always been more so like, as good as the quarterback talent is, like, you need a nesting spot to be able to nurture them and get them to that top level. Hence, I mean, Josh Allen wouldn't have been Josh Allen without the support of the Bills. Patrick Mahomes wouldn't have been Patrick Mahomes without the support of the Chiefs. Like, even the top quarterbacks, look at the Dak Prescott, for example, with the Cowboys. He was a 4th-round pick. Backup quarterback behind Tony Romo, but he got treated the right way, developed the way he has. You could be the top quarterback talent on a year-to-year basis, but if you don't have the nesting spot to be able to develop, I mean, we saw
Lawrence's rookie year.
I mean, even this past year, dude, like, I don't know, man. Like, Trevor Lawrence by now should be a top 3 to 5 quarterback in the league based off the talent, based off the profile.
To be honest, I think he's a top 8 quarterback in the league, but
I think top 10 to 12 right now, because he is coming off a down year, but I think talent-wise, he's easily top 8.
Yeah, like, if I was building a franchise right now, there's not that many guys I would take over him, to be honest.
Especially
y'all talk about Mariota yet? He doesn't deserve to be talked about. Waller's undecided on retirement.
Hear me out.
Oh God,
hear me out.
What's up?
I do think the Mariota news. Maybe I'm I'm looking too far into this, but if you're going to bring in, I was going to say that if you're bringing in stylistically a quarterback like Mariota, outer structure, mobile quarterback, like, does that kind of hint to you like, oh, maybe they're bringing in Jaden Daniels, they're trying to tailor their scheme around Jaden Daniels, so they want a more mobile quarterback to run the scheme if Daniels missed any time / wasn't ready in week 1?
Yeah, I think that's probably fair to assume that. Drake May being a Patriot would make a lot of sense, and I'm going to hate the entire NFL and specifically the Washington Commanders for letting it happen. So,
I'll be ecstatic because I don't have to fucking play against that guy 2 times a year.
Yeah, well, I'm ecstatic now that the Falcons aren't a risk to go up and trade for him. So, Jaylen Warren or Zach Moss in PPR, I would take Jaylen Warren pretty easily there. But I like Zach Moss. Like, his outlook's pretty decent now. Like, as the Bengals, like, I still think they're going to probably add another guy to this backfield, whether it's another free agent or another body in the draft. But Zach Moss, Chase Brown, like, Moss was good last year. Chase Brown was a good change of pace guy. You could get by with that, no problem.
Did you see the report by the way that apparently the Cowboys were in on Zach Moss, but the price was too much?
Yeah, he signed for $4 million. Yeah, and you guys are about to pay your fucking quarterback $60 million a year, but you can't afford a $4 million running back. Like, your cap guy needs to be like lined up and shot, dude. He is horrible.
I mean, the funniest thing is people think, oh, if you sign Dak, how are you going to sign anybody? Like, his cap hit this year is $59.5 million. So realistically, if you extend him and you backload some of that money when the cap goes up, you're going to be saving immediately anyways, because you're probably going to get the first 2 years at about 40 to 45, and then it's going to be backloaded for the last couple.
The way the quarterback market should work, it doesn't work like this, obviously. Patrick Mahomes and those type of guys are the ones getting $60 million, and every other quarterback, including Prescott, who's definitely a top 10, top 7, even potentially at his best quarterback in the NFL, should make $30 million.
I wouldn't say there's that big of a discrepancy. Like,
There
you
is.
said top guys. Like, it's just Patrick
Mahomes
Mahomes
specifically is in a
Just
tier of
Mahomes.
his own. Mahomes,
I
like
agree.
60, and then Josh Allen, Lamar, those like type of guys make
50.
Burrow like 45, and then the rest of the guys make 30.
That's just never going to happen, though, because that's
It's
how
never
going to
happen, I know, but that's how it should work based on the value that they bring to your franchise.
Maybe, but like just because I mean, like there's too much of a precedent now with the second tier of quarterbacks. Because I would say obviously Mahomes is on his own as the first tier quarterback. He is the quarterback in the NFL, the number one by far. I would say for me personally, the tier two, whether you want to say Lamar, Josh Allen, I would have Herbert there. I mean,
I have Burrow. I think Burrow is the second best quarterback in the league, to be honest.
Like I wouldn't go that far, but I think like if you want to consider him at the end of that tier, personally for me, like that would be tier two. And then tier three, you get into like the Dak, I mean,
Hurts.
Hurts, like Aaron Rodgers, if he's healthy, I would say is probably up there. Like, I mean, Trevor Lawrence, if he can bounce back and enter that tier again. But right now, I'd say
I still would take
out
Lawrence over probably everybody in that tier except for Hurts.
I mean, Dak is better than Hurts, so we're fine there.
Yeah, I mean, we disagree on that. I think I would take, if I had to keep trade cut at like starting a franchise, I would keep probably Jalen Hurts or Trevor Lawrence, depending how young my team is. And I guess they're kind of the same age. And then I would trade Lawrence and I would cut Dak. It's like, I mean, age factors in, but at the same time, like even for one season, I think
Stafford too, Brock. I agree. I mean,
Stafford definitely up there as well. There's some upside too. I mean, we didn't even mention Stroud, but Stroud is probably in that in the second tier behind Mahomes with Burrow and those guys.
Well, as a real life quarterback right now, I would consider him in the tier with Dak, but because of the age complex, like I agree from a value perspective, you're taking the 23-year-old.
I would not consider him in the tier with Dak. I think he is a lot closer to Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson.
Based off last year?
Yeah, I do.
Rookie
quarterbacks aren't supposed to do that. So
Dak literally did it as a rookie.
I think he belongs up there.
I mean, Dak literally did it as a rookie. Herbert literally did it as a rookie. Obviously,
but we have so much of a sample size of what Dak looks like on his down. Like, we don't have any bad tape of CJ Stroud, man.
I mean, Dak was literally second in MVP voting last year. I don't know why
he was great, but he's also 30+ years old. That factors.
Like as an asset, I agree. But if you're saying 1 year, like I'm still taking him over.
I'm still taking Stroud over Dak 1 year.
That's
too,
crazy.
But I know you're going to disagree on that.
A tier difference is crazy.
We'll answer the rest of these questions and then we'll probably head off of here. Appreciate you guys for joining us as always. And of course, Underdog Fantasy is a ton of fun. These big board drafts, way too early fantasy football. You get these huge discounts on these rookies. You get these huge discounts on all these free agent moves. Of course, use promo code FSE when you sign up. Mr. Keeve said, would you trade the 101 for Garrett Wilson, Kyron Williams, and Deontay, or instead trade Burrow and 303 for Amon-Ra, Hawk, Russ, and Chuba, or stay put? Also have Kyler as a QB and a 103 if I want. So a lot to unpack here. 101 for Garrett Wilson and Kyron Williams and Deontay is not a horrible deal. I think I like that one better than the other one, to be honest.
Oh, I would give up Burrow for the Amon-Ra side, I think.
Really?
Actually, never mind.
Amon-Ra's the only needle moving asset there.
I thought it was a better asset than Hawk. Never mind. I don't know how I feel about either of these, though.
I mean, you're at a point, very obviously, where you have Kyler as a quarterback. You have 103, he said as well, that he could add another quarterback. He has Burrow, it looks like, as well. You don't need a quarterback at 101. So you're trying to sell 101 for assets. I think Garrett Wilson and Kyron and Deontay is a pretty decent package, to be honest.
No, I agree.
Like Garrett Wilson versus 1-1 in a rookie in a startup draft is like realistically a difference of like 8 or 9 picks.
No, I agree. Kyron by far is the best second asset of either of the deals. So like I would lean that side if I'm doing, because not to mention
Deontay's a fine upside wide receiver 4 or 5 for your roster too.
Yeah, like that's clearly the better side, especially like I don't know how you're also giving 303 on the Burrow side for the Amon-Ra deal when the package is worse. So maybe that guy values Amon-Ra tier above. I don't know, but can you just, honest to God, like at this point, like I would take the 101 deal comparatively, but can you trade Burrow straight up for CeeDee Lamb right now?
Yeah, maybe. I honestly, I don't think it's a bad deal at all to just sell 1-1 for Garrett. I would actually take the Garrett Wilson, Kyron, and Deontay side. Maybe if you want to re-roll Deontay over Lamb instead, maybe that makes it more of an attractive deal. But if you're a competitive team, Deontay can probably help you. So like I said, Garrett Wilson versus 1-1 is probably a difference of 8 or 9 picks in a startup. And in a casual league, maybe either comparable assets.
Yeah, I got to ask you, though. So which side would you rather have if you got offered this straight up? CeeDee Lamb or Garrett Wilson, Kyron, and Deontay?
I would rather have Garrett Wilson, Kyron, and Deontay than CeeDee Lamb. I think Garrett Wilson, like I said, I like CeeDee Lamb. He's definitely a tier ahead of Garrett Wilson. It's probably Garrett Wilson in a late one for CeeDee Lamb, but Kyron is worth more than a late one.
I mean, he's about like the 108, I would say.
Yeah, that's not a late one though. That's a mid one.
Sure. I mean, that's more so the difference I would view. I would honestly view it as a mid one.
Yeah, I believe quite a bit in Garrett Wilson. That's kind of
I do too, but I mean, Lamb was literally the wide receiver.
As a competitive team, you're getting a top 8 dynasty running back here too. In addition
no, I
to
agree.
a top 6 dynasty wide receiver. So I think that's a pretty good package when you have zero intention of taking Caleb Williams because you have Burrow, Kyler, and 103 already.
If you need a running back, absolutely go with the Kyron side because I mean, like you mentioned,
and if you looked at it this way, if 1-1 was going to be Marvin because you don't need a quarterback, Marvin for Garrett Wilson, Kyron Williams, and Deontay, I think is very easily Garrett Wilson, Kyron, and Deontay.
Yeah, no, that's definitely fair. That's a good package though.
Metcalf is interesting. I'll see what I can get. Yeah, Metcalf's definitely a guy that I would consider selling. Also, yeah, literally, I think part of the reason why people are a little bit down on Rice is because they assume that they're going to add a big name wide receiver. I mean, they haven't traded for anybody yet. They don't have a top 5 pick to add Jamar Chase like the Bengals did when they had T. Higgins. It's not like they're adding a Jamar Chase caliber prospect to Rashee Rice and Patrick Mahomes' situation. It's going to be like Adonai Mitchell or Xavier Worthy or something like that. And as much as I like those guys, Rashee Rice still has the leg up to be the number 1 receiver over them.
And we have to remember, this is also assuming that they're going to take a wide receiver in the first round. Would it not be just so Chiefs to go with like an edge rusher in the first round and then take whatever falls, whether it's Keon Coleman, whether it's Xavier Legette, whether it's someone like that in the second round?
Yeah, that would make total sense. And my camera just died. This is a good time to sign off. Danny, you want to take us out of here?
Yeah, for sure. Either way, if you guys enjoyed the stream, make sure you leave a like. We've been streaming for about an hour 15 so far. 294 of you made it to the end. So appreciate you guys for that continued support. If we answered any of your questions, if you guys enjoyed the best ball draft, like we mentioned, doesn't hurt. Hit that like button. And of course, if you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe. We are almost at 40,000 subscribers. The NFL draft is coming up basically in about a month and a half. So if you guys want to see all the content we have leading up in terms of prospects, in terms of dynasty, Superflex content, in terms of rankings, we'll have all that and more jam-packed in the next month and a half. So if you guys like that stuff, hit the subscribe button and we will see you back tomorrow with potentially some dynasty drafts. So stay tuned. Take care. Love y'all.